Well, I'm back out with my camera today, and overnight we've had about 4 inches of snow, which for this area is quite unusual. It's a good opportunity to get out and take some photographs of the area in the snow. Generally with landscape photography, you go out there, you shoot your photographs, you're paying attention to the rule of thirds, leading lines, that sort of thing. General rules in photography. There's a few things extra that you need to pay attention to when you're out taking photographs in the snow. One is your safety. Tell somebody where you're going, even if it's you're not really in danger, but you get stuck in the car and your phone's run out of charge. Tell somebody where you're going. Something else to consider is, because it's white, your camera is likely to underexpose. So be careful with your exposure. Generally speaking, it will look like you're overexposing by about a stop. Maybe a little bit more than that even, depending on whether the sun is out or not. Blue skies, snow on the ground, tends to underexpose even more. And one thing that I used to make this mistake a lot when I first started in photography, and it's something to avoid. Do not just go walking willy-nilly everywhere. Don't walk and trample through the whole scene. Think about what you're going to take photographs of, and be careful as to where you're walking, because what you don't want is you don't want big footprints in your foreground. You want nice fresh snow. So think about that when you're out there taking your shots. So I'm going to pick up my camera and I'm going to get moving, and hopefully I'll get some decent shots, although it looks like it might rain, so fingers crossed that it doesn't and we can get some decent shots. Well, I managed to get down into this little river without falling in or dropping the camera or any other mishap. So I've came to this place a few times. You've probably seen it in previous videos, but I've never been here when it was snowing. And so I'm going to use the log that's here and the log going across. I'm going to try and get a nice shot. I'm not going to use any filters, no polarizer filter, nothing, just straight as it comes out of the camera. Then I'll process it, but there's not going to be anything special. It's just going to be a regular shot of a nice place in the snow. I've not decided on viewpoint, I've not decided on aperture, I've not decided on any of that yet. I'm just going to have a little walk around, try not to disturb anything, try not to literally muddy the waters, and then I'll set up the shot, we'll take the shot and I'll post it at some point in the video. Okay, so let me get on with that and I'll see you in a few minutes. Okay, I've set up the camera, and as you can see, I'm showing you the back of the camera right now. What I've got this log, and it's a little bit distracting, but I think I like having it in the shot. So what I've done is I've focused on this first waterfall here and left the shot so that I can get the second waterfall in the distance. Now I'm shooting from about 4.5 feet off the ground, because if I shoot any lower, the log that goes across here will block the bottom of the waterfall. In fact, it's getting pretty close just there as it is. So I'm taking the shot. As I said, I focused on this first waterfall. I'm at f11 and the exposure is 1/5 of a second, but I'm overexposing, as you can see there. I'm overexposing by about, well, just over a stop, because I want to keep the whites white. And I'll just reach around and take that shot. And then when I display the shot, there you go, that's the shot. And the whites are very white. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tone that down a little bit. And so now I'm only 0.7 of a stop. So just over half a stop. And again, I'll take the shot. And then if I have a look at it, there you go, that's much better. Now, this is on the back of the camera, so you're never really sure, but I reckon that that's pretty close to the shot that I wanted, or the one that I seen. Right, so I'm set up for the second shot that I wanted to get in portrait format. Now, I'm not quite as far up the river as I want to be, but I don't want to go walking up the river, disturbing all the sand and making the water all muddy and horrible. So I'll gradually move up the river and take the shots that I want to get without disturbing the sand and muddying the waters. So the next shot that I have in mind is there's a couple of branches going across the river, then there's some rocks with snow on top of them, and then there's the waterfall further up. I've got it set up already, and I'm at f13 at 1/5 of a second, but I'm overexposing by about half a stop. So I'm just going to put the camera behind me so that you see the scene that I'm taking the photograph of. So I'm just going to move this over here. So please excuse, because in some places this water is pretty deep, certainly deeper than the height of my wellies, and I don't want to end up freezing myself. So as you can see, there's the camera and the view behind me is what I'm shooting. So I'm dancing between tripods here. So I'm going to take the shot and I'll pop it up, but I want you to see the scene and then see the shot. Now I'm going to take another one at f22. And that gives me half a second, which should, I hope, blur the water significantly to give me a very different shot. Okay, so I've got the camera set up back in landscape format. Exposure is 1/2 a second at f/22, and I've got the lens set to 24mm, which is as wide as this lens will go, the 24 to 105. But I can manage to get some of I can get these rocks, and I can also get these ones down here in front of me, but only a couple of them, or half of them, but it still leads into the shot with the waterfall in the distance. So I'll take one at 24, and then I'll take another one probably around 70mm. I'll just adjust the rock there and the waterfall. So let me get my little gadget here to fire the shutter. I don't know if it will fire the shutter from behind. Normally it doesn't. No, it's line of sight, so let me try not to drown myself. And that looks okay, I quite like that. But I am going to try and get further up, not necessarily further up. I'm going to try and get a lower point of view and take the shot from there. Okay, I've set it up now. It's 35mm. A much lower point of view. Exposure is the same. It's f/22 at 1/2 of a second, 0.5 of a second. Now I've focused much closer. I don't really want to go and have to stack 3 exposures. I'd rather get it as right as possible in the camera. I don't really enjoy sitting in front of the computer and doing things in Photoshop. That's not why I'm a photographer. I'm a photographer so that I can go out there with my camera and enjoy it. And if I get it, great, and if I don't get it, figure out how to get it in the next time. That's not to say that I don't use Photoshop. I do. I use Photoshop and Lightroom. So again, I've set the same shot up, this time at 70mm, focused on just that rock there with the snow on it and the waterfall in the background. So we'll put these photographs up one after the other, and you'll see how it's changed, the progression, 24mm, 35mm, 70mm, and you'll see how the scene changes. And now the banks are pretty steep and the water is pretty deep up there, so I'm going to have to figure out how to get out of this river carrying 2 tripods without destroying my equipment or soaking myself. Wish me luck. Okay, well, I got out of the river, and believe me, it was not pretty, so you didn't want to see it. But if you've enjoyed the video, then great. If you've learned something from this, then fantastic. But thanks very much for watching this much, and if you liked it, please click like, and hit subscribe, and there'll be more stuff similar to this in the future. So thanks very much, and bye bye.